Hi, this is Mike Filipov from PracticeGuitarNow.com, and here in this video I want to address a few of the more common mistakes that I see a lot of guitar players make, both when it comes to building their general guitar speed and specifically their speed with picking technique. Now, of course, we all know that speed is not everything when it comes to guitar playing, but this is the one area that I'm asked a lot of questions on, and I wanted to take the time in this video to address it in more detail. As you can imagine, there's more than single best way to go about building your speed. Of course, there are multiple approaches that are all effective and that will all work, but at the same time, there are also many wrong ways to go about building speed as well. And no matter which approach you use for building your speed, if you make any of the mistakes that I will describe in this video, it will be a lot harder for you, if not impossible, to really bring up your speed to the level that you want. The first mistake that I see a lot of guitar players make is practicing with a very flexible pick, which is also often a very thin pick that bends as you play. And the reason why it's not a good idea to practice with such a pick is because it will totally mess up your two-hand synchronization as you try to play at faster tempos. And the reason why this happens is due to a very basic physics principle, which is when your pick applies pressure to the string applies pressure back onto the pick. And at the same time, if your pick is very flexible, it will have to bend to accommodate that resistance. What will happen as a result is that after you're finished playing a note, the pick will have to reset back to neutral in order for you to continue playing. And at slower tempos, you can get away with this with no problem because you have enough time in between notes for the pick to reset and you'll be able to continue playing with your hands still in sync. But the faster you try to play, the less time you have in between notes for the pick to reset. And so as you attempt to increase your speed to higher and higher tempos, eventually there won't be enough time for the pick to return back to neutral and your hands will be out of sync. Essentially, your picking hand will not be able to keep up with what your fretting hand is doing. So for this reason, I recommend practicing with a pick that is sturdy enough so that it does not bend as you play through notes. My personal recommendation is to use a pick that's at least 1 millimeter thick or thicker. This particular pick I'm playing with is 1.26 millimeters thick, and there are some guitar players who use even thicker picks like 1.5, 2, or even 3 millimeters. Of course, there are also some exceptions of guitar players who use picks that are thinner than 1 millimeter and still can play fast, but the most important thing, like I said, is that the pick stays sturdy enough to handle faster playing and does not bend as you play through notes. This particular factor of the pick being sturdy is way more important in terms of deciding what pick to use for practicing than the size of the pick, the shape of the pick, or what material it's made out of. The next important element of lead guitar technique that I see a lot of guitar players get wrong in their attempt to build their speed is the way they position their picking hand and the way their pick is angled on the strings. And there are several variables to consider here, but the main one is that you avoid tilting the pick too far up or down as you play, because doing so puts one type of pick stroke at an advantage and another type of pick stroke at a disadvantage. And here's what I mean. When you tilt the tip of the pick upwards towards the ceiling, it makes downstrokes much easier to play, but makes upstrokes harder, which is why this particular position is preferred for rhythm playing, where you often have to play several downstrokes in a row. But if you do the opposite and tilt the tip of the pick downwards, it's going to make downstrokes harder, but upstrokes feel much easier. So for this reason, when you play lead guitar and when you're trying to build your speed, you want to have the tip of the pick more or less neutral or parallel to the strings so that both downstrokes and upstrokes are equally easy to play. Another aspect of angling the pick that's very important is to have the pick turned about 45 degrees towards the head of the guitar where the tuning pegs are. And this will allow you to have the pick slice through the string at an angle as opposed to hitting it completely flat and having to use a lot more force and pressure to sound the note. And this will make your picking feel like a hot knife slicing through butter as you play through faster scale sequences. It will feel super easy. So the important thing is to have the pick tilted 45 degrees this way and keep it more or less neutral as far as up or down playing is concerned. The next important area that a lot of guitar players get wrong in their attempt to build their speed is the way they hold the pick. Now, this is a very fundamental area of technique, of course, but if you get it wrong, you're going to have a much harder time building your speed and improving your guitar playing in general. At the same time, this is also a very simple skill to learn, and there are only two mistakes that I see guitar players make over and over again with this area of playing. And the first mistake is that they hold the pick very, very tightly so that their entire arm becomes very tight with tension and it becomes nearly impossible to achieve any kind of speed in this tensed up state. The second mistake is the exact opposite, which is when you're holding the pick very, very lightly in an attempt to play everything with the least amount of effort possible, and that results in the pick moving around in your hand, which totally messes up your two-hand synchronization as you increase the speed, and may also lead to the pick falling out of your hand, which is obviously not good either. The solution to this is pretty simple. What you need is to find a way to hold the pick that allows you to keep it very firm and stable in your hand so that it does not move at all as you play through notes, no matter how hard or how fast you're hitting the notes. And at the same time, it does not have to require a massive amount of force or strength to hold the pick in place. And I will give you a demonstration now using some close-up video of how I hold my pick, and you will see the basic principles that have to be in place for you to discover the best way to hold the pick for yourself. Here's what to do. You take the pick and lay it on the side of the index finger. Not the fingerprint, but the side of the index finger. Lay it like this and put the thumb on top of it. And that's all there is to it. Right now, the pick is already in position. My arm is very relaxed. I'm not applying any pressure really to hold the pick in place, but it's already locked pretty tight and it's not going to move. And all I need to do to get ready for playing is apply just a little bit more pressure to really lock the pick in place totally securely and make sure that it will never move no matter what I play. One of the things that's very important to notice about the way I hold the pick is that I have my thumb sticking out past the edge of the pick. Notice how it's overlapping the pick slightly. I do this intentionally to make it much easier for myself to play fast. And the reason why it makes it easier for me to play fast is because it brings the pick in closer to the base of my wrist, the base of my thumb, and gives me much greater leverage for faster playing. So now, with the pick locked into my hand as I illustrated, I'm ready to play at any speed that I want, and I won't have to worry about the pick moving around in my hand in any way, disrupting my two-hand synchronization.